But hey, now the time for procrastination's over, buddy. Georgia, Alabama in the national championship game. The Bulldogs favored by 2.5. It's come down a slightly. It's been at 3 all week. Now it's at 2.5. The over/under 52.5 points, and the game kicks off 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN, 7 o'clock Central, and about 5 o'clock wherever Shane is right now. So, where are you going to be eating dinner and watching the football game, Shane?
Oh, man, I have no idea just yet. I'm still trying to figure my way around this desert, this oasis. I'm going to find a TV big enough to watch this. I just want to make sure I'm watching it with people that enjoy it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nothing against California, but sometimes you could run into a room and nobody even knows what football is, and I don't want to celebrate with them. I want to find a couple of folks that are actually interested in the game. So that's what I got to do. I got to find TV. But Mike, I'm looking forward to this one. I have been. I thought the matchup with the SEC championship, I thought that was the national championship. I'm so glad these guys have an opportunity to do it again. I just think that it's going to be a great ball game. I think they learned a lot from each other last time they played. I think they excelled the following week. They shown some things. Alabama a little bit more conservative, which worries me because they didn't have to show too much. Georgia got a little trickeration in there, opened up the playbook, but still going to keep Alabama on their toes because, we don't know the quarterback situation. I know everybody's saying Stetson, but you still in the back of your mind are wondering. You have to game prep for two quarterbacks because it could happen. Because I think this is one of those games that clearly Georgia's going to have to think outside the box, get a little bit creative on the offensive side of the ball to win a national championship. Mike, are we doing predictions already?
Yep.
It just seems like we should pet these teams a little bit more, but let's get into it, Mike. If you're coming here for hard-hitting analysis, that is Mike's area, because when I'm looking at these teams, Mike, it's hard not to get passionate about both programs. I love what Georgia has done this season, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They are going to film study this defense for many years to come because that's how good they have been every game but one. This team had a wake-up call in the SEC championship. This offense stretched their legs a little bit when they played Michigan, and I love that, Mike, because they have got to get two-dimensional. You cannot just turn around and hand it off to Zeus. You cannot just turn around and hand it off to Cook. You are going to have to find some options in the passing game, and that's exactly what they did. And Buddy Stetson was throwing dimes. And it wasn't a pass. I'm telling you, Michigan is not a pushover team, but they made them look like Vanderbilt out there. Georgia dominated that game. I think these guys are laser focused. I think that they understand now the task at hand when they hear Alabama Crimson Tide. However, I just told you the last 4 times these guys have met, yes, Georgia has made it competitive. They've all convinced us they should be in the game. But who walks away the victor, Mike? It's always Alabama. Why? Because they got the best quarterback in the game. Why? Because they got the best running back in the game. Alabama is freaking loaded just as much as Georgia is on both sides of the ball. And they have the ability to adjust. That's what I like most about this Alabama team is the halftime adjustments. It's the game adjustments. When they have a bad game like Texas A&M, they don't just pack their bags and leave. When they have a tough game against LSU, they don't just pack their bags and leave. They come back the next week bigger, badder, and stronger. And that worries me. I joked about Saban being in the leather jacket, but the man has got something up them damn sleeves, brother, and we're going to see it. You know what I'm saying? No one comes to a national, especially Nick Saban, unless he plans on walking off. He's like a walk-off home. After he wins this natty, he ain't coming back. Maybe that's what he's excited about, that this is his last game, his legacy. That's my little dream. But needless to say, Mike, I'm rambling, and I'm going to get right to it here. Georgia and Alabama, this is going to be one of the best national championship games you have ever watched. And I think it comes down to the very last possession. And unfortunately, the 1980 joke will continue because I've got Alabama winning 35-27. And it's nothing against Georgia, but you fooled me once. You fooled me twice, shame on me.
And Dog Nation celebrates with that selection.
Yeah, that's right. That's probably right, man. Oh, my gut is never wrong, Mike. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, going off of, the stat you referenced there earlier, Shane, I got another one that it's kind of the same deal, but, it's all about finishing for Georgia, like you said. And the 4 times that Georgia has played Alabama, when it's Kirby Smart versus Nick Saban, Georgia has led 85-24 after the first half in those football games. So, Georgia has been dominant in the first half. It's all about how can you play for fourth quarters, how can you finish this ball game, getting the most consistent performance out of Stetson Bennett. You don't need him to be a hero. You just cannot have him be a GOAT. He threw a couple interceptions, almost threw, he had the one pick six. He nearly had another in the SEC championship game. Now, it's not fair. You can't put it all on him because that game really came down to, Shane, aside from the 2 Georgia turnovers, Alabama didn't have any. That was obviously paramount. But explosive plays, Shane. That's early in that game. Georgia was up 10-0. They had complete control of the thing. But the entire ball game flipped when Jamison Williams caught that, what was it, a 50, 60-yard pass, just tore right through the middle of that Georgia defense that we all thought was, hell, it looked like for a minute Alabama wasn't going to score at all. You know what I mean? So, but as soon as they got that going, they got the hurry-up tempo going, they got their speed going, and that appears to be the kryptonite of this Georgia defense. So, as strange as this is to say, Shane, if I'm Georgia Bulldogs, how I go into this matchup, you basically have to beg Alabama to run the ball because they ain't going to gash you for 50, 60 yards per play in the ground game. That, Alabama, that, 5-10 years ago, that's what they wanted to do. They just wanted to ground and pound you, play elite defense, and they were going to win a championship. But Alabama ain't built that way anymore, brother. They cannot consistently run the ball. They can certainly run the ball. They ran all over Cincinnati's ass, but this is a different challenge. And I think Georgia has got to give Alabama a lot of looks of light boxes and just challenge Alabama to come at them because, Georgia does not match up well with their secondary versus Alabama's receivers. We just saw it. But when they do get in those obvious passing situations, you got to come after Bryce Young. And I've tried to read everything I can about this matchup, and some of the best stuff I saw, I want to give this guy a shout out. Brett Rawlings of UGA Sports, the Georgia Rivals site. He's got these stats, Shane. In the third downs in the SEC championship, when Georgia rushed only 4 players at Bryce Young was 4 for 4, 104 yards, and 1 touchdown. Ooh. So he was incredible. Now, when Georgia rushed 5 or more, he was 2 for 8 for 47 yards and 2 first downs. So, it's clear as day. You just cannot let this guy sit back there and pick you apart on third down. So that's got to be the difference in this matchup. You got to come after him. A little bit easier said than done. I don't think, I don't want to say Georgia's defensive line that we all respect got exposed, but they don't really have those elite pass rushers. It's got to come from the linebackers. It's got to come from the secondary. Ever since Adam Anderson is no longer on the team, they've really been missing that elite pass rusher in the front seven. So maybe you got to get creative with your blitzes. I don't care how you do it. You got to come after Bryce Young on third down. And how about here, one more stat, Shane. This is incredible. George Pickens has been thrown 96 passes in his college career that are defined as catchable passes. 96, he's caught 89 of them. So 93% of the time, he catches a damn ball when it's possible for him to catch it. So we got to get George Pickens more involved. I know he's had the injury, but he's had time. He's had an extra month now to get into shape. And hell, they ain't putting him on the field if he ain't good to go. And he was in the SEC championship. So George Pickens has got to step up. And I'm not saying he's got to carry the offense, but in the red zone, being a weapon down the field, that has got to be. We all know Brock Bowers is incredible. He damn near took over games there this season, including against Michigan. He had over 100 yards against Alabama in the SEC championship. But I think it's got to be someone else, because I think Alabama's going to be keyed in all day. We got to stop Brock Bowers. They already know he's their number one. And so for Stetson, he's got to be looking for Ladd McConkey. He's got to be looking at George Pickens. As long as it's catchable, George is going to be coming down with it. So, those are my keys to the game. Just don't let Alabama's explosive plays beat you. And if Georgia can do that, I think they can win this football game, Shane. It's kind of like you said. They're the team that, hell, a lot of people were picking Michigan in that college football playoff. And Michigan got the offensive line award. Their two defensive ends were supposed to be, one of them they're saying is going to be the top pick in the NFL draft. He didn't do a damn thing. The other guy, who they're saying is going to be a top pick, he didn't register a stat. I mean, that's how well Georgia was locked in, focused, and just eliminated those guys. Now, it ain't going to be that easy against Alabama, but, I think getting kicked, being down, getting motivated, Jordan Davis, hell, I think he might even run he's not taking the bus to the game, Shay. He's running into that stadium to play the Crimson Tide Monday night. It's time, Shane. It's time for the jokes to end. I'm going Georgia 31, Alabama 21, 10-point victory for the Georgia Bulldogs. And I think this is a dawn of a new era here in the SEC. Alabama ain't dead. I'm not going full Dan Wolken on you. They'll probably win the national championship next season based on everything they got coming back. But I think here on out, I think Georgia can be considered on level playing field with Alabama if they win this national championship.
That may be why Saban's happy, man. He may got a 15-year contract extension and guaranteed stem cell research down there in Mexico or something, I mean, the kid's living forever, Mike. So, I mean, he's obviously happy about something, and I can't help but laugh when I hear about Jordan Davis. I understand he's mad, he's focused, but you can't go running 2 days before, That's like me. I started a diet 7 days ago to come on this trip, I'm still not fitting in that bathing suit, brother, so you got to go to work with what you got. So this is going to be a hell of a game, Mike. We know it. Everybody knows it. I think it's going to be a tight game. I keep hearing the lopsided things. I don't think that happens. I think these guys go toe-to-toe. I hope Georgia doesn't get gimmicky. I did like the running back pass last week, but you don't need to do that. You've got plenty of talent on the outside. You got plenty of talent on the inside. You can go toe-to-toe with Alabama. You just got to be creative in your schemes. So that's what I want to see, is just that side of the ball. I want to see them just continue the development, because what I saw last week excited me, Mike, with this Georgia offense. And Alabama scared me a little bit with their offense when they got that pressure on them. But, again, it is Alabama, and they came into that game with a vanilla offense. It was clear. So there's a lot of stuff being held back in that one, and that's what worries me, and that's why I picked them, brother.